Hey guys, Trevor and Ben with Shadow Systems. Ben is he's been a recent YouTube sensation. We added him to our videos at SHOT Show. Yeah, and he was a welcome addition per the audience feedback. So we asked Ben to sit in on a conversation that we're going to have about comparing and contrasting the various options for longer slide Shadow Systems pistols. Okay, so what do we have here, Ben? So you show them what you got.
We got the DR920L.
Okay, so that's an uncompensated gun, about a 5.3 inch barrel, right?
Yeah, 5.31.
5.31 inch barrel. So this is a DR920P, which would be almost the same size and shape. Both would fit a G34 style holster, but this one has the integral compensator. And then people are asking, well, what if I just put a Thread-On Compensator on my DR920, my regular DR920? Pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, considerations, what are they? Okay, so, I mean, I'll open first with just the regular long slide DRL. Okay, so I'll give you my thoughts, then you share yours. So the DR920L would be the gun if you don't really want a whole lot of muzzle blast. You want to have probably the most ammunition tolerant version, wouldn't you say? You know, anytime you put a compensator on a gun, you're more likely to have just ammo finicky, technique finicky kind of stuff. So this would be the gun of choice if you want a little more simplicity. If you're not looking for like the absolute lowest possible recoil, you know, impulse, DR920L is going to have more recoil than the others. USPSA production class, carry optics class, stuff like that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and also I just want to add that this is also probably the most accurate. It's got the longest sight radius, and
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I would get this for grouping tight groups if that's your thing.
Yeah, if that's your thing, that's a really good point. So this will have the longest sight radius of the guns because the sight's all the way out there at the end of the slide. Okay. All right. So that's the start point. I don't know. Where do you want to go? Yeah, go, Ben.
Let's go with the next one.
Hit me.
So this is actually my personal favorite, the DR920P, because, I mean, if you're shooting steel, this is just the fastest option. No, it's easiest to reacquire your sight picture, and it's also the flattest shooting of the three.
Yeah, it is.
It's been tuned on the slide end as well as with the compensator in order to be as flat as possible while still being able to use most ammunition with stock striker spring. So compared to, say, the aftermarket compensator, this is a little bit more tuned, so it's going to perform a little better. Yeah. But it's also a whole system, whereas right here we got the long gun with the Thread-On Compensator. It's supposed to work without the compensator as well, so it's just not as tuned for both situations.
That's a really good point. So the flattest shooting gun and the one that kind of has the most, it's the most complete system, if you will, would be the DR920P. And one of the other advantages, of course, is that the front sight is on the compensator, which is, of course, not true with the Thread-On Comp. So you're going to get a sight picture that's a little easier to track when you're going fast. Ben's right. The DR920P slide mass has been reduced. It's the lightest of all three. Yes. And, you know, it's basically tuned to work with a larger port compensator. This is going to have the biggest port of the two, and it's going to be the flattest shooting. So I think that's a good point.
I just want to add that had we put this compensator with this port on that slide over there, it wouldn't cycle reliably. Yeah. So this thing is a lot more effective than the compensator on the Thread-On. However, the Thread-On is more versatile, so if you like to shoot without it, that's the one you probably want.
Yeah, and then obviously if you already own the gun, right? Yeah, it's easier just to put the Thread-On comp. I would say one of the pieces of feedback that we were hoping to hear and did hear was that this compensator, the Thread-On Compensator, seems to be super reliable with all kinds of ammunition, which is nice. People aren't really having to mess with springs. If they're shooting even regular-ish ammo, it seems to be fine. So that's going to be the most tolerant, probably, because it doesn't quite have the same level of compensation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the breakdown. Now, size-wise, they're all going to be almost identical, right? So holster fit, Ben, we've designed everything to fit in a 34 size holster. Yes. One limitation on this, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so one limitation about holster fit is that although the DR920 with the Thread-On Comp is about the same length as the other two, it does not have the hole down here.
Yeah, the cavity at the front.
Like for the recoil rod. So because of that, some retention holsters that have a plug that goes into the hole to stabilize the gun won't work unless you trim down the plug, which you can do, and we've done before, and it works pretty well. But just keep that in mind if you
So if you are putting it like in a duty holster that's for a G34, you just want to look down there and see if there's a little plug that goes into the front of the comp, because if there is, then you're going to need to use either a DR920L style gun or DR920P. Just putting a compensator on a DR, even though the length is correct, some holsters that have that are going to interfere with the comp. So that's kind of the rundown. I mean, they're all going to be fun to shoot. They're all going to be very accurate. Some will just, like you said, be a little more versatile than others. Take the comp off and it's a uncompensated gun if it's the Thread-On version, or I want to maximize performance, DR920P. All right? Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.